Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back, or for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Joanna the Medium, or Joanna. I am a medium. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. I think on two videos I said March. Please disregard that. I was doing them in March. But they are for April. So if you hear March, it is April. It's in fact for April. What can I say? I'm going to be very brief. If you guys would like to have a session with me, a personal session with me, that information is down below. You know how to find me. For those of you who are my clients, thank you so much. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much. For those of you who are subscribing, thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'm going to state my intention. My intention is to give you something to think about. My intention is to inspire a thought. Hopefully a thought that will lead to a different conclusion, that will allow you to have a different perception, which then will allow you to shift your reality. So that is always my highest intention, which means sometimes certain things will come in terms of predictions, and sometimes it's going to be way bigger than that in terms of what's happening energetically. And based on that, you can decide how to use this information or this energy in order to help you. So that is my intention for you. Of course, it may not make sense to everybody. Everyone is different. However, I feel a majority of you will be able to understand these messages at some point, whether it's in April, May, or June, or the following months. For some of you, the energies you may have been feeling for quite some time already. So it may be an indication of what has been happening with you. Keep that in mind. And if nothing makes sense, don't worry about it, but do maybe check in down the road, because chances are it will make perfect sense to you. And also listen to your other signs. I also will say this, these energies or the messages, even though they're by a zodiac sign, it is very clear to me, and that's what I'm being told, that even if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't normally listen to, let's say you click on one of my videos, you're a Cancer, but you click on Pisces, and I don't know, you clicked it because, I don't know, you just clicked it, and then all of a sudden there's some message in there that resonates with you 100%. Don't dismiss this message, because although it's not under your sign, it is a message for you, and therefore you're hearing it. So that's how I would encourage you to use my messages. They're mostly about universal laws. It's how things work and how things are being seen from a higher perspective, so to speak. And I think that's all I have. Extremely, extremely transformative month. Every single sign I've done, without a doubt, every single sign that I've done for April, extraordinary, powerful energy of transformation. And I know that March has been kind of feeling that way. I have certainly been going through my own transformation, and I know it's not over yet. It was actually incredible to see that in every single sign. So with that said, I'm going to just move on and let you enjoy the rest of the messages. I wish you best of luck. Of course, if you would like a private session, that information is down below. If you would like to comment, please do so as well. I always love hearing them or seeing them. Thank you again so much for giving me your time. Thank you for participating in my journey. It is actually because of you that I am on this journey, because if it wasn't for you, the listener, there would be no need for me to do this. So thank you once again. I wish you absolutely wonderful time in April, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, let's get started. Hello, beautiful Scorpios. These are going to be your messages for the month of April. I think on one of the other videos I screwed up and I said, I think March or May. Anyway, so it's for April. And if I make a mistake through my talk and say March instead of April or May, apologies right away. Okay, let's start off with what I was getting for you when I was tuning into your energy. What I heard was that shadow work is of extreme importance in your life right now. You, whoever it is that I'm talking to, that might benefit from shadow work. So shadow work is the term. It is another way of explaining it. It's looking at aspects of ourselves that determine who we are, and based on what that belief is, how do we present ourselves in the world? So because you're coming to a sign of completion or a sense of completion, in other words, I feel like many of you are approaching an end and some sort of an ending. This is an ending of a road you've been on, metaphorically speaking, and that road now stops and you have to either go this way or that way. And I feel many of you are approaching that space. This can be a physical manifestation, as if literally changing directions with work, changing directions with relationships, a move, you're getting hired, you're getting fired, hopefully not fired, you're transitioning, whatever it is. Many of you are approaching this space, and it is a good space to be at. And the reason being is because many of you are being guided to make a certain choice or decision. And the moment I'm saying this, I feel this slight sensation in my in my throat and a pressure on my chest. So it's telling me that whatever it is that you are approaching that may be signified by a choice or decision is giving you somewhat of an anxiety. Perhaps you're not able to express it because perhaps you don't know how to express it, or perhaps you're just used to bottling things down. Whatever this transition is for many of you, it represents an end of a cycle, and it's an end of a very important cycle. Cycle meaning any sort of thing you have been struggling with in terms of, well, your perceptions, your beliefs, your feelings, relationship, you name it. There's a pretty good chance that as you approach to the end of this cycle, if you will make the choice or decision to let the old go, which essentially means you will willingly let go of an aspect of your identity that has defined you up until this time. And in order to know what that is, we have to do deep soul searching, because humans live at the very shallow level. Not shallow in a bad way, but our level of consciousness is not very deep. Our subconscious aspect is way deeper, and that's where all the information is stored. So for any of you who have a tendency to reject your feelings or emotions, this is not one of the best times to try and do it again. Chances are you will not be able to stuff it because it simply is going to become too much and you're going to blow. And that's a metaphor. Or simply because there is just no point in repeating the same thing. So what I'm trying to say here is that I see for many of you, you're at an end of a road or nearing a completion of some sort. And of course, completion isn't always indicated in terms of physicality. Completion means actually, as a matter of fact, mostly mentally and emotionally. But our mental and emotional state, or our mental and emotional faculty, is what is essentially responsible for what we create. So in order to have a better grasp in knowing how you create, which then allows you to create better, you need to be able to understand some things about you that may not be apparent to you yet. For some of you, this is touching on the idea of needing to control. If you are someone who is always needing to control everything for various reasons, generally it's because you don't trust somebody, you don't trust the universe, you don't trust people around you, or you simply believe that that's just the way it is, or you've grown up with challenges around control, too much or not enough, or whatever that is. So for some of you, it's time to look at this. If you have any challenges around perhaps it's challenges around not being in control. Perhaps it's challenges around giving your control away and, putting yourself in a position like you're somehow second best or whatever, fifth or 10th for that matter. So control can play out in various ways, depending on various factors. So for those of you who might resonate with this, if you do, you don't have to go and brag about it, but if you do, allow yourself to sink deeper into that control issue in order to help you understand the reasons behind it. In other words, there's always a reason why we do things, and even though we don't know what it is, it always serves a purpose. So the more information you have about your level of subconsciousness, the more likely the less likely you will be willing to drag on your old SHIT behind. In other words, you are nearing a completion of a cycle. And with that comes the bonus of creating a brand new reality. But your brand new reality is based on your thinking, because your thinking is what creates your experience. So when we, for example, have issues with control, we will, chances are, not very likely, be trusting for the universe to provide us. In other words, we're always the one needing to have the wheel, and that's just the way it is. But sometimes life doesn't work that way. As a matter of fact, life works in amazing ways, in mysterious ways, and most beautiful ways, and other ways too. But creation is a process. It's made of various parts. One of the biggest parts is you and then the universe. So if you are always controlling or want to control a situation, always know that you're controlling it from your current perspective. If you were to change your perspective, you might become less controlling. So what I'm trying to say is, the universe has a greater view of where you're going. It knows your path. You can call it God, you can call it angels, whatever you want to call existence. Call it higher awareness. The higher awareness power, the divine, has better look into what your life is. You only have a very tiny sliver based on your current experiences in this 3D world. So sometimes, actually quite often, you need to be able to take your hands off the wheel and let go of control, because your controlling things actually does not serve you. Not only does it not serve you, it takes you away further from where you want to go. So I guess in a long-winded way, I'm trying to say, just relax. So I seem to be spending a lot of time on control. So I feel this is going to connect with quite a lot of you. And shadow work is not something that is necessarily very pleasant, because it forces us to look at things within ourselves that we would rather not have or not look at. Those generally are things that are rooted in sadness and pain and loss, all those, let's call them lower vibrating frequencies. They're not bad or good, they're just lower vibrating. And since we are all moving into higher vibration, it is necessary for you to be purified, because those heavy energies will just slow down your progress, if you will, or they will drag you down. In other words, as you approach this end of this completion of this cycle, it is important for you to understand your current belief system as is. And the best way to understand your current belief system is looking at the situation that you are dealing with, particularly one that is on your mind a lot, and ask yourself this question: what am I gaining from this? What is this trying to show me? And you might come up with an answer when you ask yourself, how is this situation making me feel? If whatever you're dealing with, as an example, is making you feel lonely, then what you are here to experience as a soul is what that means. But once you have the cognitive awareness, yes, of knowing that's how it works, you all of a sudden lessen the impact of how that lesson has on you. I'm hoping this is going to make sense. In other words, you being aware, it's like getting the memo what this test is going to be about. Chances are, if you have the answers for your test, you're going to pass. So this is obviously an analogy, but I feel it serves a great purpose. I think that's how I'm going to just pause. A lot of information came through. Hopefully some of you will recognize this. I feel there's going to be quite a lot of you. Now, always remember, just when I talk about control, or what I'm talking about in terms of control, is not necessarily that you have to be controlling. It actually can be that you feel you are always being controlled, manipulated, that you feel you have no power. You have no control of your life. it can be the flip side of that. So it could be anything, not just that you're being controlling. Somebody may have been controlling to you, or you may be controlling your emotions. I mean, the word control obviously can apply to many things. So just broaden your horizons when you hear that. So what might you be expecting in the month of April? And of course, when I say April, it does not mean that it's going to be fit in 4.2 weeks window. The energy is very fluid. So as a matter of fact, some of you may be experiencing this right now and have been for a while. Some of you are not quite there yet. So, give yourself some room. Chances are if you cannot connect with this right now, or if it doesn't make sense to you, it will absolutely make sense to you down the road. So you have the Queen of Swords came up, and I'm not going to talk about the traditional meaning of the card because that is not how I'm going to do this. So swords do represent thoughts, but here's what I see when I look at it. If you have a different interpretation of what that means, by all means, listen to that as well. But this is what I see when I look at her. She's being very cautious. She's being very cautious with what it is that she wants to say and also what it is that she stands for. There's something about not being sure how to proceed. Cautious, the word cautious. Now, let me just see if there's anything more that I can add to this. And then and this is what I hear. She's always in control, but she doesn't know it yet. I have a feeling the Queen of Swords is representing you, and you hesitating on some sort of a choice or decision. This could be the choice or decision that I was referring to earlier, that is fast approaching, and that decision could be, well, one of gazillion things. The basics are moving a job is moving you, moving city, moving house, moving town, moving country, changing relationship, getting married, getting divorced. I mean, you guys get the picture there, but it is quite substantial for a lot of you. And for some of you, it's about your life's mission. So whatever your life's mission is, and generally you will feel it. And if you don't, well, that requires some shadow work. But I feel many of you will at least cognitively have some sort of an idea of what your mission is. But then I'm getting flagged and I'm going, no, not really. Most people don't. Most people ask, what am I here to do? So interesting, because in order to answer that question, we have to listen to ourselves, because no one knows better than we. Nobody. Now, we have fears that tell us things, but our intuition, our soul always knows. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with this card. There might be some sort of a hesitation, caution, okay? The Four of Cups showed up, which is I want to say reinventing ideas. So you are looking at different ideas, but I also want to say, what do I feel from him? Because it's a him on this picture. I wish there was more. I wish there was more. I wish there was more. So this is indicating to me a time of contemplation. And perhaps this contemplation is, perhaps you are going, is there more? And that is making you want to make a choice or decision. Or perhaps it's happening the other way around. Point is that I feel you are sitting on something here that you are not quite sure what to do with. Okay, you're in contemplation. Whatever you have does not seem to be enough. And perhaps it is why you are being cautious with what you say, and perhaps to whom. Perhaps it's because you're not quite sure what that other thing is yet. And if you need time to, I'm going to say it differently. If there is a time approaching where you know you're going to have to make a choice or decision, make sure that you make it from a space of as complete of an understanding of the situation as you possibly can. In other words, whatever it is that you're dealing with, examine your beliefs about it. Example. If you are wanting more love in your life and you are currently not receiving it, then chances are several things are going on. You've had it, you pushed it away. You believe you can't have it. You've had it some time ago, but you lost it. There's generally some form of a protective layer that is actually preventing you from having more love. And to the logical mind, it makes no sense, because why would I not want more love? Well, the answer actually is quite simple. It's because when you had it and then it was taken away, it bloody fucking hurt. I think I just said the F word, I'm sorry. And because of that, you said, no, thank you, not gonna happen again. Now, this is not something that's conscious most of the time, it's something that's deeply subconsciously driven, but even though it's deeply subconsciously driven, which is usually not very visible, it has incredible impact on everything that you create, particularly when it comes to love. So I feel like some of you are looking at identifying for themselves what is really important to me now. And maybe that's why this is the contemplation. And only you can answer that question. Nobody else can. Nobody else has the privy to you as a soul. A person may give you idea, you may get something from this. You may, somebody can tell you what that is, but until it comes from you, but until you are invested in it, until it is yours, it's your truth, it simply won't matter. So where do they even go with that? Continue. Okay. So there's a contemplation. What is asking the question? Thank you. What is it that I want? What is it that's important to me? What is it that I'm truly after? Most people that I speak with are after things because those things will make our lives somehow better, right? So we have all these attachments to all those things that we need. But at the end of the day, all these attachments or whatever it is that we try to create have an underlying emotional component, right? So where did I go with this? Continue. Okay. Speak about emotions being important in terms of understanding, but also in terms of creating. Okay, thank you. So in order for you to create responsibly or more creatively, it is important for you to address your feelings and your emotions. And that's the shadow work again. So with this example of more love in your life, and you can substitute love for abundance, money, relationships, health, anything. Love is just an example because it's just such a obvious department in life. So if where are we going with this? So yes. So so for example, if this is about love, what is your belief about love? Now, majority of you will say, well, I believe love should be this, and this. But the question isn't what do you believe it should be? The question is, what do you currently believe love is? And you have to be able to be very honest with yourself. And I'm not suggesting you are not being honest with yourself. I'm not suggesting you're being dishonest. What I'm suggesting is that more likely than not, there are some other underlying emotional connections that you haven't or were not willing to look at yet. And those are the attachments. Those are the attachments that I call, well, it's commonly called a shadow. Okay? I'm just going to continue. The Knight of Wands to me signifies career. And the change or the move that you're considering or the end of a cycle, for some of you will be career related. For others of you, it is simply your drive. If you are a tarot reader or if you do know tarot, this might be a different interpretation. Okay, so and by all means go with that. But like I said, I'm going to do this differently. There's passion with this indicated, and perhaps some of you are missing passion from your life. And how do you get passion? I think that's a whole different conversation. Passion can also be, you can be passionate about making pancakes, for example, right? However, if there is something missing in your life that has no spark, or what your life is just kind of blah, and hey, life is not fireworks every day. Far from it. But at the end of the day, when you look back and you consistently see this satisfaction, then you gotta either make a choice or make a change. I guess change and the choice is the same. And then I hear complaining won't do it anymore. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm hoping it's going to make sense to you. And please do take this with humor. Spirit is very clever that way, and Spirit will often say things to provoke you in order to laugh, because laugh raises vibration. So if I talk about more completion, I actually asked, what's the advice? You actually have a message called completion. You're coming full circle. You're coming full circle, which means there's no going back, whatever that means to you, but you can't jump forward too quickly either, okay? And again, perhaps this is why you are contemplating. I heard when I was shuffling cards, be careful what you wish for. And I went, yes, I've heard that saying, but I just kind of tuned into it. And they gave me an example. An example was, if somebody's wishing to be in love, and they have a whole bunch of stuff connected to the idea of love, experiencing that is actually not going to feel very pleasant because they have all these negative attachments to it. So, for example, you might be wishing for love. I just want to be with someone who just loves me and adores me. And as an example, could be job, we're paying job, right? But your belief is it doesn't exist. Yet you consciously want it because you're a human being. Who doesn't? However, you end up attracting a relationship and it's, yes, this is what I want. And then all your shit comes up. And, well, like with SHIT, it causes problems. So the reason why I'm saying this, because one of the subconscious things going on is, it says blind enthusiasm. And the way I perceive it is this: being mesmerized by some kind of an end result without looking at the consequences of the actions that go with that. In other words, I need more clarification. I feel like this didn't quite come out right. In order for you to know what you want, you have to hear your heart's cry. You have to listen to your emotions. And I feel that this message is about, again, being fixated or having this fixation or something, but not truly appreciating what it takes in order to get there. That's kind of how I want to leave it. It's a very interesting, whenever I see this card, it's hard for me to wrap my energy around it. It's almost like I can't fit myself in it. And perhaps that's what it is for you. Perhaps you feel like you can't fit in your own skin, so you put on a mask. That's going to be for some of you. Last but not least, the idea of balance comes in. So this is what's happening subconsciously. If you're going through some things, and chances are you are, doesn't have to be major. It could just be that you're feeling there's something missing in your life, and you're contemplating of maybe changing your career. With that will come a whole bunch of stuff, safety, security. Oh my God, change. What does that mean? All that stuff, right? When that happens, our fears are triggered. But when they come up, they're easier to see. They're in your view, and then when looked at, can be understood differently. So whatever you are approaching or whatever you are going through, whatever this represents for you, it is a culmination of one thing and then having a new beginning. And it's like with the example of love. If you want someone to love you, as an example, notice how you love yourself. And I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. The way you treat yourself, the way you love yourself, the way you look at yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you communicate with yourself, the way you perceive yourself is the way you have a relationship with yourself. The relationship you have with yourself is going to mimic, it's going to be a mirror image of the relationship you attract to yourself. So if you are someone who is not very kind with his or her words about, let's say, your looks, then chances are you might attract a partner who tends to look at other women or men, and that's going to make you feel extraordinarily insecure, right? And that's just one component. I mean, there literally could be gazillion, I think. Healing. This card also is very symbolic of healing, balancing emotions. As I always talk about, 9 to me represents letting go of old attachments. For example, again, with the idea of love, if you are someone who is looking for a relationship and you haven't had luck, or your last few sucked, or whatever happened, examine what your deep perception is around relationship, because chances are this: if you have been hurt in the past on several occasions, unfortunately, you develop the idea that SHIT, I guess that's what I have to expect, right? But it's not an expectation that you say, I expect to have a bad relationship. No, this is your subconscious expectation. Based on your experience, you have learned certain things that made you believe they're true. So now you're looking out for them because you want to avoid them, but they come from a place of imbalance. I hope that made sense. That just flew out of my mouth. So anything that you can observe in terms of unhealthy attachments, and you can have a twisted belief around relationships. If you've grown up with parents, for example, who fought every day, that would be your blueprint of what a relationship should look like. When you grow up, obviously you're not going to want to attract it, but you won't be able to help it. Generally, you won't be able to help yourself. It is simply, you are a magnet, and you are a magnet, and you're a product of your environment. So we are all going through changes right now. Many of you are going through significant changes. I will call these spiritual changes for some of you. And for some of you are, let's call them regular transformations. Not that changes aren't transformations. Point is, you are ready to let go and release of that belief that no longer serves you. You are the one that makes things happen. So make sure you make it happen the right way. Do I need to explain? Try it? Okay. In other words, you create your reality. You are the artist with the paintbrush and the paint. You may not be conscious of it, but when you become more conscious of your beliefs, you will clearly see your patterns that will show you how your situations match your beliefs. So when you have that understanding, and it often comes through doing shadow work, you are then able to see things much more clearly. When you see things much more clearly, things are more obvious to you, which means you relax more. You don't have to worry so much. You're just much more generally relaxed person. And I'm even leaning back. So do yourself a favor. Notice what's holding you back, and then ask yourself this question. Do I continue to still do this? Chances are you're going to say no. Why would you ever say yes, right? So if the answer is no, the next question you might want to ask yourself is this. If I saw myself in the future being the happiest that I could be, and that future me gave me advice, what would she say? And then listen with your intuition. Okay? Now your intuition may be male or female, it doesn't matter. It just kind of came out as a she. Yeah, that's how I'm going to leave it. I hope this was helpful. This is a really good time for a lot of people because we have the help of the energy being very palatable. It's like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just the energy is so potent. I'm able to manifest things that I just go, wow, and so fast that it's actually scary. So again, manifestation process happens regardless of which way our thoughts go. So if we are manifesting at a rapid speed, then it would be important to learn how it is that we manifest. And most of it is done on a subconscious part of our thinking. Shadow work is also on a subconscious part of our thinking. And it's too long to go to an explanation, but I feel many of you will know what that is. If not, make a comment down below. And if you want me to make a video on shadow, that is actually that's what I love to do. It's my specialty. Then I will gladly do that for you. With that said, I wish you best of luck in the month of April. I hope that you have a wonderful journey. Always remember, life works for you, with you, not, or life happens with you, for you, not to you. And yes, I get it. Some things suck, and especially in our current perspective. So I'm not going to go on too long with that. Drop me a note or comment down below how this applies to you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. It's either not for you, or it definitely will make sense later. Chances are good majority of you will understand this at some point. I wish you best of luck, and if you would like to talk to me in person, one-on-one, that information is down below. Thank you so much once again. I wish you best of luck, and take care. Bye.